Have you ever felt like you're chasing someone so hard you lose yourself? The more you try to please, the more you're taken for granted. The harder you strive to prove your worth, the emptier you feel. It's not wrong to want recognition, love, or to be chosen, but you'll always suffer if you live as though your value hinges on others. A man's pain doesn't come from a lack of love. It comes from placing the center of his life in the wrong place. He uses others' gazes as his map, their emotions as his compass, their praise as his fuel. And he wonders why he's perpetually restless. A Stoic man chooses a different path. He doesn't chase, he builds. He doesn't seek approval, he crafts qualities others can't ignore. He doesn't crave attention because he knows true value doesn't shout. It resonates through how he lives. If you're exhausted from chasing what's not yours, it's time to pause and ask, is what I'm pursuing worth losing myself? In this video, I'll share 12 principles that forge the character of a Stoic man. He doesn't chase, beg, or depend. He builds quietly, disciplined, enduringly, letting his value pave the way. If you're ready, like the video to show me you're here. Subscribe, because building grit isn't a one-day task. It starts today with one right choice. Number 1, he builds before he bonds. A man of true inner strength doesn't rush into connection with a fractured self. He doesn't enter love seeking a crutch, a relationship to be saved, or another's life with empty hands. He builds before he bonds. He knows without a solid foundation, anything built will crumble, and he refuses to be the reason someone else breaks because he hasn't fortified himself. Modern culture pushes the opposite. People love first, commit first, move in first, then wonder, what do we do with this mess? They start with emotion but lack the groundwork to endure. They think love will heal their gaps, yet those gaps destroy love. When it collapses, they blame each other, missing the truth. What they lacked wasn't the other, it was themselves. A Stoic man knows no one saves you but you. He doesn't seek a partner to complete him, but to grow alongside when he's already whole. He doesn't chase his other half. He's a complete circle. He's not in a hurry. Rushing connection risks falling for illusions. The emptier you are, the likelier you settle for less. He builds before he bonds. Before giving his heart, he strengthens his mind. Before entering a relationship, he dives deep into himself. He learns to be alone without loneliness. He hones discipline, emotional control, financial stability, and clear values. When he's strong enough not to lean, deep enough not to depend, he opens the door, not out of need but to share a life rightly, rooted in choice, not necessity. This isn't coldness, it's profound respect for himself and others. Building before bonding says, I'm not here begging for love, I bring maturity. Living this way, you don't need to shout your worth, it filters the right people. You don't chase, those who belong see your difference. They stay not because you clutch them, but because they see a foundation worth building on. Many men trap themselves in toxic relationships because they enter seeking a foothold, not a partnership. Unsure of who they are, unclear on what they need, unready for pain, they dive into love expecting it to fix everything. When it shatters, they break, not just from losing someone, but from having nothing to hold themselves together. A Stoic man doesn't shun love, he just doesn't let it steer his life. He doesn't fear commitment. He fears committing before he can keep his word. He's not cold, he's warm where it counts. He doesn't need love to feel worthy. He's built that already. If love comes, he embraces it with clarity and sincerity. If it leaves, he stands firm. No collapse, no hate, no loss of self. If everyone's pressuring you to date, marry, or settle, pause and ask, what am I building? Do I have a foundation? Am I solid? Or am I seeking someone to prop me up? Without stability, relationships don't steady you. They tangle you. Without knowing yourself, anyone can make you forget who you are. Don't rush. Don't connect just to fill a void. Use that emptiness to forge strength. Use the time before someone arrives to prepare. Become a man who doesn't chase love. He's too busy crafting a life that draws love naturally. If this resonates with your journey, if you've rushed your heart while still empty, comment, "I choose to build before I bond." Like the video if you've paid a price for an unready relationship. Subscribe if you aim to be a man who doesn't chase. He's too busy building what no one can take, inner strength. Number 2, discipline over desire. 1. Truth holds across time. Men are weak from desire, strong from discipline. This is the clearest divide between a boy uncontrolled and a man of true inner strength. The weak let emotions guide, hunger lead, fleeting attractions steer, and short-term wants break long-term vows. The strong know emotions are real but not always right. Desires are natural but not always worth indulging. True grit begins when you say no, even when yes is easier. A stoic man doesn't deny emotions or suppress them like a cold machine. He lives by principles, not whims. He knows what he wants in 5 years and guards it against what he craves now. Instincts need no training, but discipline demands daily forging. Each time he overrides a desire, he doesn't weaken. He grows. He proves to himself he's the rider, not a horse spurred by feelings. Today's world makes discipline almost countercultural. Everything pushes instant gratification. Text if you want, order if you need, buy if you like, connect if lonely, complain if sad. But because most chase feelings, the disciplined stand out. A man who rejects unfit desires, delays for preparation, endures for the right moment, is distinct, without fanfare. Discipline isn't a cage, it's a framework for freedom. Discipline with time saves you from deadline chaos. Discipline with words spares loved ones from your anger sting. Discipline with habits keeps emotions from puppeteering you. Discipline with goals shields you from others' detours. It doesn't confine, it liberates you from inner turmoil. Strong men aren't desireless. They don't let desire derail them. Insulted, they stay calm. Faced with wrong opportunities, they refuse. Not from fear, but principle. When emotions surge, they observe, not react. They need no overseer. Their inner monitor suffices. This sets them apart. They live systematically. Why do many fail? Not for lack of talent, but for skipping mornings they didn't want to rise, workouts without instant results, workdays without applause. They trade the future for present ease. The disciplined choose the reverse. They know one session, one page, 1 week isn't enough, but repeated relentlessly, it yields what others can't touch. Desire is a loud call, discipline a quiet, persistent voice. The wise choose which to heed. The more you listen to discipline, the fainter desire's cry becomes. A man hooked on instant reactions, if he practices delay, will soon face temptations unfazed. The will, like muscle, strengthens with training. Want respect? Don't bank on talent, hone discipline. Want lasting bonds? Don't rely on feelings. Keep promises, commitments, principles. Want freedom? Discipline yourself. No one saves you from a directionless life but self-mastery. If you've let short-term wants sabotage long-term goals, said if only I'd kept my word, or regretted impulsive choices, it's time to choose anew. Today, pick discipline over comfort, principle over compromise, focus over distraction. Each time you do, you lay a foundation no one can shake. Comment, I choose discipline over desire, if you're serious about building inner strength. Like the video if you've paid a price for chasing emotions. Subscribe for daily reminders to live clearly, deeply, purposefully. Men aren't strong by luck. They're strong because they keep their word to themselves every day. Number 3, emotional independence is his superpower. A man who can't control his emotions is forever a prisoner of the outside world. He rages when someone acts wrongly, sulks when attention falls short, lashes out when rejected, or crumbles when someone leaves. That's not living. It's existing on the emotions others stir in him. Such a man holds no real power because his feelings aren't his own. They're switched on and off by external forces. A stoic man chooses differently. He builds an inner sanctuary where others can't wander freely. He doesn't wait for someone to bring him peace. He creates it. He doesn't demand understanding, loyalty, or gentleness to feel steady. He learns to stand alone, hold his heart, and master his emotions. In a world swayed by emotional tides, he stands apart. Emotional independence isn't coldness or numbness. It's feeling deeply without letting emotions dictate actions. You hurt, but don't act impulsively. You grieve, but don't lose direction. You're moved, but don't trade your values. You live authentically, not dependently. This quiet strength is immensely powerful. A strong man isn't untouched by pain. He doesn't shatter just because others don't meet his expectations. He knows he can't control others' actions, but can always choose his response. Insulted, he doesn't let anger drive him. Rejected, he doesn't collapse in self-doubt. Misunderstood, he doesn't dive into pointless arguments. He doesn't need others' validation to know who he is. Many enter relationships like children, needing reassurance, clinging, craving constant proof of importance. They call it love, but it's dependence. Dependence breeds control, jealousy, lost freedom, and ultimately, collapse. A man emotionally independent enters differently. I'm here by choice, not need. If they stay, great. If they go, I'm whole. A Stoic man doesn't wait for others to make him feel complete. He does it himself. He hones discipline, keeps self-promises, builds a career, cares for his body, trains his mind, all to become someone he's proud of. Happy with himself, he doesn't need someone to fill a void. He shares, not seeks salvation. This makes him a worthy partner, not a burden. Emotions are part of life, undeniable, but you choose, live with them or be driven by them. React instinctively or respond with clarity, hurt and learn, or hurt and blame. Train to turn inward, observe your heart, master your state, and external storms won't sweep you away. You can stand calm in a tempest. If you've lost yourself because someone didn't love you as hoped, spiraled over an unanswered text, or raged then regretted impulsive reactions, it's time to choose again. Don't let emotions define your identity. Don't hand your mind's remote to anyone. Take it back. Learn to regulate from within. That's not just peace, it's freedom. Comment, I master my own emotions if you're training emotional independence. Like the video if you've lost control by letting others set your mood. Subscribe if you're building a strong, steady heart, unshaken by who stays or leaves. Men aren't strong by lacking emotions. They're strong by not depending on others' emotions. Number 4, he chooses alignment, not approval. One of the most pivotal forks in a man's life is deciding whether to live true to himself or to please others. Many never realize they're swayed by the need for acceptance. They say what's expected, act as others want, conform to external standards. Things seem fine, but inside there's turmoil. They've traded their inner truth for external nods. Sooner or later, they pay the price. Disconnection from themselves. A Stoic man takes a different road. He lives in alignment with his inner compass, not external consensus. He doesn't ask, will people like this? He asks, is this true to my principles? He doesn't bend his values to fit trends. He aligns his actions with truth. If that brings misunderstanding, rejection, or criticism, he stands firm. Keeping himself matters more than applause. Approval is a subtle addiction. It starts with a like, a compliment, a warm glance. Without clarity, you'll live to chase that high. You'll do things misaligned with your core, fearing a tarnished image. You'll stay silent when you should speak or speak to be noticed. You'll become a copy of expectations, not your truest self. It's a trap, sweet but stripping your greatest asset, freedom. Alignment is living by your core values, no matter who approves. You don't need to impress, just be consistent. A man in alignment isn't loudly flashy but has enduring pull. You can't help respecting someone who lives rightly, even if you disagree. Chasing approval means constant adaptation. Spawning so many versions of yourself, you lose the original. Living in alignment, you don't strain for recognition, you just do what's right. That clarity, consistency, and authenticity earn trust, not from flattery, but from truth. Choosing alignment over approval means accepting not everyone will like you. That's normal. Each person has their values. The more you try to be universally loved, the further you stray from yourself. But ask, is this right for me? And you'll feel lighter. No need to perform, strain, or seek permission to live your truth. A Stoic man knows people's favor shifts. Today they cheer, tomorrow they turn. Today you're praised for candor, tomorrow criticized for not bending. If you live for approval, you're a leaf in the wind. Live for alignment, and you're a rooted tree, deeply anchored, unshaken. That steadiness brings lasting peace. Reflect on recent choices. How many stem from fear of rejection, from wanting to be liked, from seeking acceptance over inner conviction? Be honest. You've likely betrayed yourself for approval. That's okay. We all have. But seeing it lets you choose anew. Start today. Choose alignment, not acceptance. Choose right, not agreeable. Choose steady, not showy. When you live truly, the right people notice, stay, and align. If not, you keep what's priceless, yourself. Comment: I choose to live right, not to be liked. If you're learning to reject easy approval for truth. Like the video if you've traded yourself to please others and now choose clarity. Subscribe to keep living purposefully, not chasing crowds. A real man doesn't need approval. He needs alignment with his values. Number 5, relationships are optional. Purpose is not. One of the most common mistakes that derails men is making relationships the center of their lives. They enter a relationship and let emotions override reason. They adjust schedules, abandon goals, sacrifice interests, and compromise principles, all to keep the bond intact. They do everything to hold someone close but lose themselves. When the relationship ends, they don't just lose a person, they lose their direction. A Stoic man doesn't live this way. He values relationships but never lets them define his core. He loves deeply, commits fully, but never trades his purpose to keep someone. For him, relationships are a choice. Purpose is a duty. He can love without forgetting what he's building. He can be in a relationship without letting it eclipse his personal mission. Purpose isn't vague. It's what defines your existence. It's knowing what you must do each morning, why it matters, and how it serves something greater than yourself. It might be a career, a value, an ideal, or a legacy. A man with clear purpose isn't easily swayed. He doesn't crumble just because someone leaves. That steadiness makes him unshakable. There's nothing wrong with wanting love, but if love replaces purpose, you become vulnerable. You've placed happiness in something not fully yours to control. When they leave, life feels meaningless. When the relationship falters, motivation fades. When rejected, you doubt your worth. But living for a purpose beyond love ensures you never collapse from losing someone. A man can be alone but not lost if he has purpose. He can be in a relationship yet feel empty if he's forgotten what he lives for. Love brings warmth, purpose brings depth. Relationships may shift, but purpose is your compass. Live true to it, and the right people come. Not because you chase, but because you radiate true pull. Don't confuse needing someone to share with for depending on them to exist. A Stoic man loves freely. He shares a life already directed. He doesn't seek someone to define him, but a partner to walk alongside without derailing him. If no such person exists, he keeps moving. No resentment, no forcing, no despair. His true necessity is his mission, not someone's presence. Imagine waking to find a loved one gone. You're sad, but you rise, make coffee, open your laptop, work, train, learn, and push your committed projects. That's not callousness, it's grit. You've built your foundation on what can't be taken. Love may come and go, but purpose, once clear, is your pillar. If you're in love, love with clarity. Give fully, but don't lose your life's axis. If single, use this time to strengthen goals, hone skills, clarify direction. If you've lost yourself in a relationship, forgive yourself, then choose again. Love should enhance you, not erase how strong you were. Comment, I live for purpose, not to have someone by my side. If you're building a life around mission, not just relationships, like the video if you've lost direction to love, but now choose a clearer purpose. Subscribe to keep forging grit, depth, and focus. A real man doesn't need someone to feel complete. He's whole because he lives for why he's here. Number 6, he protects his peace like a fortress. A truly strong man doesn't need to speak much. Watch how he guards his inner peace, and you'll know his caliber. In today's world, where noise invades constantly and negativity lurks, maintaining an inner calm is the highest form of power. A Stoic man doesn't treat peace as a random gift. He sees it as a fortress, off limits to those who don't show respect. He protects his peace like a fortress. No one, no situation, no careless word is allowed to breach the mental order he's painstakingly built. People may judge, misunderstand, challenge, or attack him, but he doesn't react rashly. He refuses to let others dictate how he feels. He chooses to respond, not driven by fleeting emotions, but by principles. He knows every time he lets someone push him off balance, he hands them the reins of his life. Peace doesn't come from do obey the world. It comes from clear boundaries. A Stoic man doesn't hesitate to say no. He feels no guilt declining, draining conversations. He has no urge to always be present, agreeable, or pleasing. If something threatens the peace he's cultivating, he quietly withdraws. No explanations, no fuss. He understands his most precious resource isn't time, but focus and mental clarity. Without boundaries, you're easily swayed. Others manipulate your emotions, disrupt plans, override principles. You're tired but don't say no. Annoyed but still nod. Busy but take on more to avoid offending. Each unprincipled concession digs you deeper into chaos. A Stoic man, however, lives with sharp boundaries, not from arrogance, but because he knows he can't achieve greatness if distracted by trivialities. He guards his peace like a gatekeeper. Not everyone gets in. Those who disrespect, don't listen, or bring negativity are kept at a distance. He doesn't hate or judge, he filters. Energy and attention are finite. Let everything invade unchecked, and you'll lack the strength for what matters. Peace is the foundation for right action. You can't think clearly with a cluttered mind. You can't make big decisions if petty drama consumes you. You can't build something meaningful while battling needless noise. A Stoic man prioritizes his inner quiet before any other goal. He knows a clear mind comes not from more information, but from filtering and keeping it clean. If your life feels chaotic, check. Are you letting too much into your mind? Are others deciding how you feel? Are you reacting to every word, story, or minor event? If so, it's time to rebuild boundaries. Reclaim control of your inner stillness, not by retreating from life, but by choosing wisely what enters your space. Comment, I guard my peace like a fortress if you're learning to set limits and keep your mind clean. Like the video if you've lost yourself by failing to say no and now choose clearer boundaries. Subscribe to keep forging inner strength, unshaken by drama, words, or external expectations. A real man doesn't need to win every argument. He needs to preserve his inner peace, no matter the outer noise. Number 7, solitude is not emptiness. It's a training ground. Solitude doesn't destroy a man. Misunderstanding it might. In a society that glorifies constant connection, silence is often seen as a frightening void. But for a Stoic man, being alone isn't a sign of loss. It's a forge for character. Solitude isn't a gap to fill, but a space to build. Not a place to dodge life, but a ground to prepare for living it rightly. A man who hasn't learned to use solitude often mistakes it for loneliness. He fears quiet, dreads evenings without texts, shies from a cafe with just himself and a notebook. He rushes to connect, dives into half-hearted relationships, does anything to avoid facing himself. But the more he flees, the emptier he becomes. No one can fill a man who hasn't learned to sit with himself. A Stoic man sees solitude differently. It's a gym for the spirit. There, he hones discipline without oversight, trains his mind without prodding, observes raw emotions, unfiltered thoughts, and unlit corners of his soul. From these encounters, he reshapes himself, not by others' gazes, but by a deeper inner standard. A man who's embraced solitude deeply no longer fears others leaving. He knows those who come are a choice, not a savior. Those who stay resonate, not complete him. If no one remains, he has himself, a version clear, steady, and deep enough to need no external noise to prove his worth. Solitude is a realm only the brave enter, not because it's dangerous, but because it offers no coddling, no applause, no admiring glances. Just you, with yourself. There you realize everything you thought was you, achievements, looks, fame, social media, is a shell, a role. Stripped bare, you face the question, who am I without any mask? A Stoic man enters solitude not to hide, but to reflect. Not to escape, but to learn. He reads, journals, trains, reviews mistakes, envisions his path. He doesn't wait for a companion to live rightly. He starts now, trusting that if someone comes, they'll find him on that right road, not at a fleeting crossroad where he's lost. Solitude shows him what's real and what's illusion. It frees him from collective currents, public opinion, and the trap of needing validation. It gives him a quiet space to redefine what matters, what to discard, what to pursue. That stillness is where true strength is built, unshowy, unhurried, enduring. You can't know yourself without time alone. You can't grasp your true value if you always need others' confirmation. You can't build a solid life if your foundation is poured hastily in fear of loneliness. If you're alone now, don't rush to escape. Use it, dig deep. Make it a crucible for character, wisdom, and clarity. When you emerge, you won't seek someone to fill you. You'll seek someone worthy to share your fullest self. Comment: I turn solitude into a training ground if you're embracing it as vital to your growth. Like the video if you feared loneliness, but now see the power of stillness. Subscribe to keep walking the path of depth and strength. A man doesn't flee silence. He enters it and emerges stronger. Number 8, he works in silence, not for applause. A clear mark of a mature man is that he doesn't need applause to keep moving. He doesn't require the world's validation to know he's on the right path. He can toil quietly in the shadows, step by steady step, unnoticed, yet maintain his pace. For him, value lies not in recognition, but in the precision and consistency of his actions. He doesn't work to be seen. He works because it's what must be done. A Stoic man doesn't need a spotlight to start. He approaches his work like a skilled craftsman, silent, careful, thorough, steady. While others post every milestone online for a few likes, he chooses silence, letting results speak last. He doesn't chase fleeting motivation or rely on daily inspiration. His fuel is inner discipline, driving him through days without mention, praise, or encouragement. Here's a truth few face. If you wait for others to notice before you act, you're not living for your own values. A Stoic man gets this. He doesn't perform for show, applause, or awards. He acts because he's chosen a path, and that path demands effort, whether anyone's watching or not. That's a life not about being seen, but about being done rightly. We live in an era craving instant recognition. Success must be swift. Results must be visible. Inspiration must be shared. But when everything's loud, what's real? Everyone talks about the journey, but few are quiet enough to walk it. A Stoic man chooses not to speak because he's too busy doing. He doesn't live stream gym sessions. He doesn't flaunt book reading photos. He doesn't document every disciplined moment to prove himself. He knows true strength doesn't need narration. He focuses on depth over dazzle. That quiet resolve gives his actions weight. Working in silence isn't hiding. It's not needing validation to know you're on track. It's stopping living for others' eyes and starting for your commitments. Do this long enough, and you'll notice something. You become quietly formidable, unpredictable, because you don't broadcast. But when you act, your results demand attention. A Stoic man isn't swept into comparison. He doesn't care who's moving faster, getting more notice, or shining brighter. He knows speed means little if the direction's wrong. His focus, Am I better than yesterday? Am I true to my path? Am I keeping my word to myself? That's enough to keep going. No fanfare needed. If you've been pulled into the noisy race, felt pressure to share everything just to feel relevant, or doubted your worth without praise, pause, ask, am I living to be seen or to achieve? The difference is vast. Living to be seen burns out fast. Living to achieve endures and leaves a mark. Comment, I choose silence in building. If you're focusing on your journey without needing applause. Like the video if doing right matters more than being noticed. Subscribe to keep honing quiet perseverance, where value is built through action, not spotlight. A real man doesn't need noise to affirm himself. His results speak for him. Number 9, he's comfortable being misunderstood. Misunderstanding is an inescapable part of life. You can live rightly, kindly, clearly, and still be misread. Stay silent to avoid conflict, and you're called arrogant. Set boundaries, and you're labeled selfish. Speak truth, and you're deemed cold. In a world where people interpret through their own emotions, distortion is inevitable. A Stoic man gets this, so he doesn't waste time correcting every misconception. He's at ease with others' skewed views, as long as he's aligned with himself. He's comfortable being misunderstood. He doesn't need everyone to grasp why he declines, stays quiet, doesn't react, or walks away. He doesn't post explanations online, share stories to justify, or ramble to prove he's right. He doesn't crave crowd applause to affirm his character. He knows truth doesn't need agreement to stand. When you're not grounded, every misunderstanding stings. You try to prove you're not what they think, bending over to shift their lens. But when you're rooted, you stand still. Chasing others' approval subtly admits their view defines you. And that's false. You can be kind without pleasing, polite without nodding to every misread. A Stoic man doesn't live to be understood. He lives to be true to his beliefs. Those who want to understand will. Those set on misjudging won't, no matter what you say. He saves his energy for what matters. Acting, building, growing. He's not racing to win, most understood. He's focused on winning his own path. Embracing misunderstanding frees you from people-pleasing. It lifts the anxiety of odd looks or misjudgments. It breaks the cycle of explaining to those who don't care to hear. You zero in on what deserves your effort. Yourself. Not everyone merits your time to explain. Not all are mature enough to listen without judging. Not all are nuanced enough to grasp your reasons. That's reality. Accepting it lightens you. You react less to external noise, pouring energy into what carries weight. A Stoic man knows misunderstandings are short-lived. Over time, consistency reveals truth. Those who misjudge will reconsider. Those who criticized will adjust. But you won't need their apologies. You never live for their agreement. You live aligned, and your peace doesn't hinge on their definitions. If you've been hurt by being misread, rushed to justify, or raged when efforts went unseen, that's normal. We've all been there. But today you can choose anew. Choose calm. Choose steadiness. Choose silence without feeling weak. Choose action without needing instant understanding. Strength isn't universal comprehension. It's living rightly even when misjudged. Comment, I don't need to be understood just to live right. If you're learning to stand firm amid skewed views. Like the video if you've been wounded by misinterpretations, but now choose to hold steady. Subscribe to keep building inner strength, staying true, unshaken by crowd emotions. A real man doesn't prove with words. He proves by living rightly, even if no one gets it. Number 10, stillness reveals what noise hides. Most people don't fear external chaos. They fear internal silence. When the noise stops, no text ping, no task demand, no feed scroll, they hear themselves. That can be scarier than any storm. Noise exists for a reason. It drowns unanswered questions, numbs unease, lets you forget you're living wrongly. But a Stoic man doesn't choose forgetting. He chooses stillness to see clearly. Stillness reveals what noise hides. In silence, truths emerge. Relationships that no longer matter, compromises made for love, habits draining energy, wrongs you know but keep because change feels hard. In stillness, self-deception falters. That's where maturity begins. Not with new knowledge, but with unflinching confrontation of old truths. A Stoic man seeks stillness not to withdraw from life, but to enter it with sharper clarity. He knows the louder the world, the easier to lose your way. The more voices you hear, the harder to hear your own. The busier you are with deadlines, news, drama, trends, the tougher it is to discern what's real, needed, or enough. So he pauses, to breathe, to feel, to filter, to prepare for his next step with purpose. Here's a truth rarely taught. Sometimes to go further, you don't speed up, you stand still. Like water clears when undisturbed, the mind sharpens when not stirred by constant reactions. In moments of doing nothing, you see most clearly what must be done. A Stoic man embraces this, unafraid to pause in a rushing world, knowing stillness is the lever for right action. Those lost in noise always react. Those rooted in stillness know when to stay silent, speak, step back, or advance. They don't follow the crowd's frantic pace. They craft their own rhythm, steady, deep, anchored. That's why their steps carry weight, not for speed, but for precision and direction. If you're always swept along, can't sit still, need earbuds, check your phone obsessively, fill every gap with something, you may be disconnected from your core. Stillness. That's okay. Stillness isn't instinct, it's a skill to hone. Start with a few minutes daily. No music, no screens, no company. Just you, your breath, and the questions you've dodged. At first it's uncomfortable, but soon you'll hear subtleties. You'll uncover what noise concealed. You'll know what you live for, what pulls you, what you truly need. Living from that stillness, life clarifies. Less confusion, fewer reactions, less fatigue, because you're no longer spun by the trivial. A real man doesn't need endless action to wield influence. Sometimes his calm alone shifts others. His steadiness shrinks surrounding noise. His ability to sit through storms makes him a pillar others can't help but respect. Comment: I choose stillness to see clearly, if you're stepping out of noise to find inner clarity. Like the video if you've been swept by too many sounds and now aim to hear yourself. Subscribe to keep forging grit, depth, and fewer reactions. A Stoic man doesn't just act rightly, he knows when to pause to prepare better. Number 11, he leads himself first. No leadership strategy is stronger than self-leadership. A man who wants to be trusted, followed, or heard must first master himself. If he can't control his moods, uphold discipline, keep promises, or stick to principles, his words to others ring hollow. People may listen once, impressed, but no one follows long-term if he fails to live what he preaches. A Stoic man knows this, so before influencing others, he stabilizes himself. He leads himself first. No title, loud voice, or high role is needed. Just consistency between words and deeds, values and choices, direction and actions. He doesn't urge others to change while he's unsteady. He doesn't preach discipline if he can't keep simple habits. He doesn't counsel calm if he's impulsive. His rigor with himself lends him weight without fanfare. A hallmark of self-leadership is proactivity. He acts without being pushed, strives without needing praise, maintains quality without being checked. He works from professional pride, trains out of self-respect, acts kindly because it's his chosen way. He doesn't rely on external cues to live rightly. He builds an inner system clear on what's right and wrong and lives it daily. Men who drift often wait for others to act first, for inspiration to strike, or for prompts to move. They live reactively, hoping someone stronger will lift them. But no one pulls you up if you haven't stood. No one respects a man who can't lead himself yet wants to dictate how others live. A Stoic man doesn't wait for others. He acts first. He knows sometimes no one will understand or acknowledge his efforts, yet he keeps his pace. Commitment to himself trumps others' gazes. Every early morning, every unwatched workout, every choice of the harder path over the easy, every correction without blame. These small moments of self-leadership stack up, shaping a man others naturally follow without his beckoning. Leadership doesn't start with slogans. It begins with keeping your smallest promise to yourself, halting habits that sap your energy, reflecting on mistakes instead of blaming others. Live this way, and you won't need to shout. Your character alone influences. Your disciplined silence inspires others to adjust. A Stoic man doesn't lead by commands but by how he lives. When someone sees a man who needs no push to stay sharp, no perfect conditions to do right, no praise to stay ethical, they get it. This is someone trustworthy. Trust is the bedrock of true leadership. If you felt your influence lacks weight, wanted respect but faltered in consistency, or aimed to inspire yet lived unevenly, it's time to shift. Don't change others first. Start with you. Set discipline. Correct yourself. Lead yourself through tough times. Do this, and without fanfare, others will see you differently. Comment, I lead myself first. If you're learning to be a man of true inner strength, starting with personal discipline, like the video if you've sought respect but now see it comes from how you live, not what you demand. Subscribe to keep building a focused, disciplined, credible life. A strong man isn't the loudest commander. He lives so rightly others want to follow, without words. Number 12. Silence is his final word. A Stoic man knows that some things, when explained, only grow more misunderstood, that speaking too much can dilute impact, and that silence is often the most powerful response. In a world where everyone rushes to air opinions, claim rightness, or seek validation, he chooses silence. Not because he has nothing to say, but because he no longer needs to prove himself. Silence is his final word, not a lack of voice, but a refusal to waste energy on the unworthy. Silence isn't defeat, it's opting out of pointless games. When insulted, he doesn't snap back. When misjudged, he doesn't justify. When someone leaves, he doesn't cling, not from indifference, but because he knows reacting doesn't elevate him. It drags him to the provocateur's level. That's a downgrade he won't allow. The more secure a man, the calmer he is. The clearer his worth, the less he speaks of it. The stronger his inner foundation, the better he wields silence. A Stoic man knows not every battle needs his voice. Not every wound needs airing. Not everyone deserves his explanation. Sometimes silence is self-respect, refusing to fuel the trivial. His silence isn't passive endurance or weak submission. It's control, a conscious choice, a wordless declaration. I'm strong enough not to shout, steady enough not to react, clear enough not to clarify. Those with nuance feel its message. Silence needs no volume to carry weight. Its quietness makes it echo longer. In relationships, he speaks little. He listens, observes, lets actions talk. He doesn't overpromise. He delivers. He doesn't loudly protest misjudgments. He walks on, lives rightly, lets time vindicate. People learn this man isn't judged by words but by consistency, presence, and quiet resolve. At work, he doesn't chase credit or boast. He doesn't need the spotlight. His results force others to take notice. His steady work, calm problem-solving, and sparse but sure words carry weight, not because he seeks it, but because he lives rightly. Silence becomes the casing of his mature character. He doesn't use silence to distance. He uses it to preserve depth, to hear himself amid endless noise, to see clearly before responding, to feel rightly instead of rushing to judge, to avoid the modern trap of instant reaction. He knows if you can't master your silence, others' noise will master you. His final silence isn't voicelessness. It's full presence without words. It breeds trust others can't pinpoint. His rare words make people pause and listen. He enters a room without fanfare yet draws eyes. It all stems from mastering silence while others scream. If you felt compelled to speak to be seen, argued to defend rightness, or reacted to avoid dismissal, pause. Ask, where's my silence? Am I living too much in noise and too little in stillness? Am I losing my true character by not sitting quiet and observing? Comment, silence is my strength if you're learning to hold back needless words and let actions speak. Like the video if you've reacted too quickly, too often, and now choose deeper, clearer living. Subscribe to keep building strength through calm and grit. A real man doesn't need to shout. His quiet weight resonates on its own. You don't need to chase anyone for validation. You don't need to cling to anything to feel whole. You don't need to strain to be loved. A Stoic man doesn't live to please others. He lives to stay true to his inner compass. He doesn't pursue, he builds. He doesn't need noise, just steadiness. He doesn't need to win every argument, just to hold his values firm. If you've been lost in noise, swayed by emotions, or sacrificed too much for what wasn't worth it, now's the time to choose again. Choose clarity over chaos, action over proving, silence over shouting. Build a life you're proud of, even if no one sees. Comment, I don't chase, I build. If you're ready to be a man who doesn't need applause to know he's on the right path. Like the video if this hit you exactly when you needed it. Subscribe for daily insights on grit, inner strength, mindset, and Stoic living for the modern man. We can't control who stays or leaves, but we can always control the one thing truly ours, who we're becoming. That's where transformation begins.